Ladies and gentlemen, how are you? We're back again for another live show at 9 p.m. Actually, a couple of minutes past 9 p.m., but that's okay. We will get there. How are you all? Good to see you. DJ, Laura T again. My friend Moonlight View, how are you? Lynn D, Angela's here. LMS made it. My sweet friend Peekaboo Cockatiel. Yes, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, I guess, for some people. I hope you are all having a great evening. We're going to catch you up on all your true crime. We've got a lot of things going on. I was just doing some research into that 19-year-old woman missing from the Bronx, but I don't see any updates for her. So I hope this is not one of those cases where they sort of go, we've got a missing person, and that's it. And they never update it. They never say whether they were found. They never say if they're okay. They never say if they're still missing. They just put out one alert and never tell you what's going on. But that I don't have any update. The last update was 2 days ago, and that just saying that she was missing. Other than that, not much else. How are you? Hey, here from Quebec. Hey, I'm happy to have people from our French friends in Quebec. That is great. I'm happy to see people from that part of Canada. Okay, let's get going. Let's get going. So I thought we'd start off today with a sort of not funny story, but just interesting. And I'm gonna get this set up for you. All right. So I think Fox 11 in Los Angeles likes to prank people. And what I mean is they like to write funny titles on very serious crimes. One that I have here says, it says, hot prowler allegedly attacks woman in downtown LA. A hot prowler? Is that sort of like hot yoga? Is that the same thing? I don't think so, but maybe it is. But I'm going to show you this one. Apparently, a man in Los Angeles noticed that there were some weird people approaching a property and thought, oh, I think the house is about to get robbed, and grabbed a paintball gun and scared off his intruders. So we're going to start off with that, just something light, sort of light, before we get into people that have passed away in violent situations.
Possible break-in attempt at a Tarzana home is caught on camera, but the masked suspects were sent running after being confronted by a neighbor wielding a paintball gun. Gigi Graciette shows us.
It was just after 10 o'clock last night when Julian Harper Smith noticed a silver SUV driving up and down Aura Avenue in Tarzana. Call it his spidey sense, but he knew something was wrong, and he was right.
I seen a car pull up, and they slowed down, and then it didn't look right. And I seen 3 people get out, and they jumped the fence one at a time. But they didn't seem too intelligent because that gate behind me was wide open, and the other gate was closed. For some reason, they decided to jump over that. And then I grabbed my flashlight, the brighter one I have, and then a paintball gun or pepperball gun. As soon as I turned on the light, it took the turn. I turned the light on, it lit up all the trees behind me. So they pretty much seen that. They ran back to their car, and then I was right there next to them. So I put the flashlight down, they hopped in the car, and then I just give them a couple of warning shots in the back of their car just to tell them not to come back.
And that was no ordinary flashlight that Harper Smith used. The $700 100,000 lumens light lighting up an entire block, most likely leading the suspects to believe that police had arrived. This attempted burglary, the latest in a string of home burglaries targeting nearby Encino, well over a dozen now in just the last few weeks. And while police have not identified this group of suspects, they believe they're all connected. Moments after the attempted attempted break-in. A silver SUV was spotted by police driving recklessly through Encino. They tried pulling over the driver and the pursuit was on. Police eventually losing the suspects on Havenhurst. Coincidentally, the same exact neighborhood where many of the other home burglaries have happened. And they now believe those were the attempted burglary suspects. Back in Tarzana, Julian is happy that his elaborate system of dozens of security cameras paid off, and he was able to prevent his neighbor, who had been sleeping at the time, from being burglarized. He also hopes those paintball shots serve as a warning to the would-be burglars not to come back.
I just give them a couple shots in the back of the window just to tell them to F off.
We've reached out to the LAPD, and obviously they're very concerned about this latest crime trend, but they do point out that burglaries are actually down in this area, 17.3% from this time last year.
I'm going to stop it there, but I found the guy very interesting. The fact that he, he's like, oh yeah, I just sort of shot at their car to tell them to F off. Laura says he's a great neighbor. You see that? You see that flashlight he had? That thing is like a police spotlight on a vehicle. That thing is so bright. Let's go back to where it lights up the neighborhood. That thing is ridiculous. Look at this. This is his handheld flashlight. That thing looks like a spaceship or a freaking UFO gonna beam people up out of the street. He did a great job though. I mean, I'm his neighbors are probably very thankful that he's a bit paranoid and a bit, they said he had like 30 cameras surrounding his property. Either he's been burgled before or he's scared of being burgled, or he's got enemies, or it's just LA, one or the other. But yeah, interesting story. I don't know if a paintball on the back of the car is going to scare them not to come back. Maybe. I'd be more scared that because there's a neighbor that has 30 cameras and a giant torch spotlight, rather than paintball's not going to scare you off, but the other things might. They might actually get them not to come back. Oh, French cough medicine? I wouldn't know how to do that. I'd just be like, which one makes me not cough? Bonjour, yeah. Bonjour. Yeah. So there we go. There's your light story to enter the show, as light as it can be on a true crime channel. The actual other one I want to talk about is this. Actually, if you look at the title, I thought it was interesting that sometimes we get police officers or deputies who are fired. We had one last week. He was fired and then charged with murder over the murdering of that 32-year-old woman who called about a prowler, and she died after the cops opened fire on her because she had a pot of water. Okay, sure. Well, there's been a South Carolina sheriff's deputy who was fired last week in the midst of a DV investigation and was charged in the incident on Wednesday by state authorities. His name is Trayvon Sellers. He's 29, faces third-degree DV and breach of peace charges in the July 25th incident in a neighboring Darlington County. So I'm going to take you to, is it WPDE or WMBF? One or the other. Yeah. It says here, SLED charges ex-Florence County deputy in domestic violence investigation. It's nice to see them holding one of their own accountable. It is. They said an ex-PD deputy, PD? Okay, you can just put PD. You don't have to write it like that. Deputy recently fired amid a domestic violence investigation is now facing charges from state authorities. The South Carolina Law Enforcement Division said 29-year-old Trayvon Sellers was charged Wednesday with third-degree domestic violence and breach of the peace, according to warrants obtained by WMBF News. Those charges are linked to an incident that happened on July 25th in Darlington County. Those documents state Sellers allegedly climbed onto a vehicle that was being driven by the victim before reaching inside and swinging his arm, attempting to strike the person inside the vehicle. Once authorities arrived at the scene, warrants state Sellers approached the victim in an aggressive manner while not following orders from responding deputies. Sellers is also accused of shouting obscenities close to proximity of a public road and in full view of residences. Okay. They said Florence County Sheriff said he fired Sellers on Friday because of the incident. At the time of his firing, Sellers was on leave after being involved in a deadly officer-involved shooting back in May, which SLED is also investigating. Sheriff Joy noted that Sellers' alleged conduct was unbecoming of a Florence County deputy. Records from the South Carolina Criminal Justice Academy shows Sellers joined the county sheriff office back in October 2022. He started his career in law enforcement at the Darlington County Sheriff's Office in 2017. SLED said Wednesday that Sellers was booked into the W. Glenn Campbell Detention Center, and more updates are to follow. And the reason I wanted to show you this one is you look at the difference in approach from Florence County Sheriff's Office. They fired him over this incident, which, it sounds a bit petty in some of them, like he was swearing while in uniform or whatever, even though I think he's off duty because of that shooting incident. It just shows that they keep their deputies to a higher standard, yet this other county that had the 32-year-old woman who was shot after calling police for help, it shows you maybe like the different types of standards different sheriffs and police departments have in what they expect out of their deputies. So I would be very interested if the guy that, hold on, let's get her name. I don't want to keep calling her the 32-year-old woman. Let me see if I can find her name. Ah, that's right. Her name is Sonia Massey. Sonia Massey. So you can imagine if the police officer who was charged over her death, I don't know if he ever would have got a job at this particular police department. They seem to keep their deputies to a higher standard than the police department that took him on after he'd been either fired or released like several times over the past 4 years before he shot Sonia Massey. And, it's a bit of foresight into what things can happen in the future. So they've taken a badge and gun off this man who obviously can't keep his temper and emotions in check. And he was involved in a shooting earlier. I don't know what that is about though. I don't know if he actually shot someone or was just at the scene. It doesn't say. Let me see. Does it say? It doesn't say. It just says that the victim in this incident was his own wife, Sellers' wife. In May, in the May incident, the one that he was put off work for, a Florence County deputy tried to stop a vehicle driven by a 43-year-old man named William Rankin, who didn't stop and eventually crashed in front of his home and ran into a house. The deputy and a canine followed him inside, where they encountered Rankin and another person who was not involved in the case. The police dog bit the other person, and the deputy shot Rankin, who died in hospital. The uninvolved person was taken to a hospital for treatment for dog bite. Joy asked SLED to take over the investigation after putting the deputy involved, presumably Sellers, although he has not been named in reports about the incident, on admin leave. That investigation has not been completed at this time. Very interesting. A deputy and canine followed a 43-year-old man inside a home, and the dog bit the uninvolved party to their traffic stop. Very interesting. We'll find out more about that in the future, but I'm trying to see if I have a photo of Mr. Sellers for you. Here you go. Mr. Sellers, the man who was a deputy but is no longer. He no longer works there. Hey, Rachel, how are you? Good to see you. All right. That is your deputy update. You know, we've had some sad cases recently of police. We did a sad one last night of two Australian cops and who died, and a couple of others who were shot at a siege and ambush in Australia. And then we do this tonight. We go the other way where cops are not behaving properly. Okay, let's go to. These are quick stories, unfortunately, guys. Very quick. They don't have a lot of background. Let me take you to. So, one of the things that happened over the last couple of weeks, and if you're into pop culture, you would know that it was Comic Con. I mean, who doesn't love San Diego Comic Con? I mean, I do. I always try and listen for the updates and what new projects are being announced and, you know, what good information or TV shows are going to happen, what new movies might come out in the next couple of years. It's always a lot of fun for Comic Con week or couple of weeks that it's on, and but it's not so fun for some people. And what I mean by that is, just like the Super Bowl, Comic Con has sort of over the last 20 years of becoming a much bigger institution and event on the calendar. It has started to attract people that you wouldn't want to, sort of like the Super Bowl, like I said, it started to attract people who are trafficking sex victims. Now, apparently on the weekend, the police department ran a sting operation out at San Diego, trying to capture as many of these creeps and rescue as many victims as they could. And I'm just trying to bring up that video for you. Ah, come on, StreamYard. StreamYard's not being our friend today. It seems to lag when you have too many windows open. All right, here we go. We're going to go to Fox 5 San Diego. And it's a quick update, and then I'll read you the article.
We start this afternoon as 14 people have been arrested and 10 victims of human trafficking have been found here in San Diego.
It was all part of a sting operation targeting traffickers at Comic-Con last weekend. The San Diego Human Trafficking Task Force worked with the Department of Justice as well as the San Diego sheriffs and the police departments to conduct this sting. The operation was focused on finding buyers, recovering victims, and arresting traffickers. Law enforcement went undercover for 3 days to pull it off. The youngest victim found is 16 years old.
Brandon Ayuk.
Brandon Ayuk. We're not here to talk about Brandon Ayuk and if he's going to sign a contract or not. That's for a different show to talk about. 49ers news. We're not doing that here. But as you heard, they arrested a bunch of people, saved a 16-year-old girl. It says here California investigators arrested 14 sex buyers and rescued 10 victims, one of them only 16 years old, this past weekend at the San Diego Comic-Con convention. Then they're saying here, if I can bring up this statement from authorities. Okay. From the Attorney General. Yeah. Attorney General Rob Bonta, San Diego Human Trafficking Task Force target human traffickers at Comic Convention in San Diego. They said as part of a joint investigation through the San Diego Human Trafficking Task Force, which has a very long acronym here. It's the SDHTTF. They're eventually going to be like 50 letters long, and we're all going to have to remember them. California Attorney General Rob Bonta today announced the results of the human trafficking sting aimed at recovering victims of sex trafficking and targeting buyers using the San Diego Comic-Con convention to seek out potential victims. From July 25th to 27th, 2024, the California Department of Justice, DOJ, conducted a anti-human trafficking operation coinciding with the Comic-Con convention that resulted in the 14 arrests and 10 victims being recovered and offered services. Comic-Con International is a comic book and pop culture event drawing over 100,000 people to San Diego every year. They're saying, unfortunately, sex traffickers capitalize on large-scale events such as Comic-Con to exploit their victims for profit. These arrests send a clear message to potential offenders that their criminal behavior will not be tolerated. We are all grateful to our dedicated partners involved in the task force, whose collaboration has been invaluable. We take great pride in our officers' commitment, and they're saying they're uplifting vulnerable Californians by offering assistance and guidance when they need it most. They said there is no more insidious crime than human trafficking. The coercion and violence which enslaves people for profit and places them into forced labor or sex is criminal. As the sheriff, I support the efforts of all our justice partners in holding perpetrators accountable. I appreciate the focus that was placed on the recent convention to identify and rescue victims of human trafficking. The San Diego Police Department is a proud member of the task force. We work together. Teams identified and arrested more than a dozen individuals participating in these illegal acts in our city over the weekend. The successful operation recovered 10 victims, including a girl just 16 years old. These results show our collective dedication to combating human trafficking and holding criminals accountable. And it says here, any more details on the arrests? Not on this one. Let me see if we can find some photos. Let's show these people who think it's okay to enslave people for money. Let's have a look. Did they show any arrest photos? Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Let's try the NY Post. Maybe they might have it. Stop that. It just says a 16-year-old trafficking victim, 9 others rescued after Comic-Con major bust. They said the underage girl and other victims were being forced to work as prostitutes, servicing attendees at the star-studded gathering of fans. During a 3-day operation, undercover agents were able to identify the woman and remove them from trafficking. Good. Posing as sex buyers, the California law enforcement officers made contacts with the victims and then attempted to identify their traffickers. Operatives also posted advertisements soliciting sex to identify buyers. So they did a two-way sting. They contacted people that they found on, I don't know, whatever is the new back page or whatever. And then they also placed their own advertisements trying to honeypot people into contacting them and arranging to meet. They said no traffickers were arrested in the operation, but the agents were able to lure out and arrest 14 Johns. The victims were offered support services according to the AG's office. Unfortunately, sex traffickers capitalize on these events, and they're trying to send a message that in San Diego, we don't tolerate this type of activity. They're saying here, this is interesting. In 2014, an organization of women called Geeks for Consent, with CON being capital letters, gathered nearly 3,000 signatures demanding the event adopt a formal anti-harassment policy after what they described as an atmosphere of sexual harassment at Comic-Con. The group interviewed female attendees who described being frequently groped, unwillingly photographed, and even followed while at the convention. They also complained of pervasive atmosphere of sexual objectification of women. Comic-Con organizers said at the time that the safety of all of its attendees was paramount and promised to improve security. I find, there's a comment here that says, all that work and not a single trafficker was arrested. Maybe they're trying to do sort of the little fish, big fish type of thing. They don't want to take, you know, they don't want to arrest anyone today because they're trying to get further up the chain. If you arrest someone today, that's it. It cuts off your chain. You can't get further up because the next person on the chain already knows that person has been arrested and not to trust them anymore. And they won't, they won't give any information. You won't be able to get further. And maybe this is a thing of trying to find out who's running all this, not the people, not the small time people who got sent out to San Diego, but the people calling the shots from, other states or, that type of thing. The big bosses, basically. They're trying to find out who are the people that are actually controlling these women and men, and how can they get further up. Hey, Nanalana, how are you? Hey, Glitter. What's going on with my friend Nanalana? We got a storm late last night, but not for long. I'm glad you didn't get a tornado. Hey, Kibby. How are you, Kibby? Haven't seen you in a while. I'm trying to catch up with you all after reading. Yeah, I hope you didn't get any tornadoes. That would be bad. Yeah, I've heard there's huge bushfires going on in the US, and a lot of it is being driven by just searing heat in many places. I hope you all get a lot of rain and a cold front, something that can help lessen the fire risk and then it's spreading. Hey Edget, how are you? All right. So that was a good result, but yeah, it is interesting that no traffickers were arrested at the sting operation, but like I said, maybe they are trying to get further, to the big fish, not the little ones. And sometimes they won't arrest people, or sometimes it can be more victim orientated. Maybe they're trying to remove people from trafficking rather than arresting everyone. Because it looks like they only arrested Johns who contacted to buy services from people. And that looks like they're the only ones who were actually arrested. Okay, all right. All right. That's 3 stories we've done already. We are going super fast tonight. All right, we have a larger story. If I can find it, which sometimes I cannot. We have far too many links open. All right. Sorry, people. You guys are going to have to stick with me for a second. Our links are not being cooperative tonight. But this is another story I came across overnight. It says here, a body of a missing woman found in rural Colorado in 2023. Cops say now man arrested in Florida, 1,800 miles away from where the body was located. They're saying a man accused of killing a missing 25-year-old woman in rural Colorado has been arrested more than 1,800 miles away in Florida. Nearly 8 months after the woman was found dead, 62-year-old Clifton Boges faces an array of charges, including first-degree murder and kidnapping, according to the U.S. Marshal Service. Brittany Meek was reported missing in October after she planned to go to Denver to meet up with an unknown person, according to a news release from the Yuma Police Department. All right. On November 16, investigators found her car, and about a week later, her body was discovered in a rural part of Yuma County. Detectives believe, is it Bojes or I have no idea, but we can call him Bogey if you want. He was responsible, but they said he fled the state and likely headed to Central Florida. On July 24, investigators said they obtained a warrant for his arrest on charges of first-degree murder, felony tampering with a deceased body, kidnapping, murder theft, and assault. Investigators began conducting surveillance at a home in Sebring, Florida, and they later found him at a storage facility in nearby Lake Placid. He'll be extradited back to Colorado from Highlands County. From the time of her death until he was arrested, Meek's loved ones demanded that the person responsible for her death be held accountable. And they said, her mother said, in a short 25 years, Brittany loved a bold, brave life. Her mother wrote also, she was always up for an adventure and to learn something new, scouring YouTube on everything on how to make Japanese milk bread to how to change her car brakes. Her lively spirit and openness to help others helped her make lifelong friends who cared about her deeply. She said Meek lived with her 90-year-old grandmother, who was also her best friend. Whether Brittany was preparing candle-filled spa baths for her, cooking up a feast for her, or practicing the art of Halloween face painting on her, they had many, many good times together. The family wrote in her obituary that she lived an active lifestyle and loved music and fishing. They said Brittany had the biggest heart. I'm going to say it's we're going to say these people are strange people who like to use other letters to say a normal name. I would have called her Brittany, but it could just be Brittany as well. There's no video for me to double check the sounding of her name, so take it either way you want. I don't want to desecrate a dead woman who was murdered, but that's the way I would have said it if you just showed me the name. They said she was always willing to help others no matter what they might need. She spent a lot of time with her family and made friends easily. As the saying goes, she never met a stranger and could charm anyone. Why is there no photo of her? Oh, here, there is a sort of photo. Like a little, a shrine. That's what I would call that. A shrine from maybe at a mother's place? Possibly. Let me look her up. There's got to be a better photo of Miss Brittany or Brittany, whatever her name is. Let's see if we can find a better photo. There is an old missing poster for her here. Sorry, I know it's white. I know it's a white background. Here's an old missing poster. She was last seen October 25th, 2023 in the 600 block of South Birch in Yuma County, Yuma, Colorado. After stating to family she was traveling to the Denver area to meet with someone, she has not been heard from or seen since October 25th, 2023. Law enforcement was concerned for her safety, and then they ended up finding her deceased at one point too. Yeah, they found her about a month later, just a couple of days before December. This is the article of when they found her. They said missing Yuma woman found dead, was reported missing after telling family members she was traveling to Denver with an unknown person. They said nearly a month after an eastern Colorado woman was reported missing by family members, her body was found in rural Yuma County. They received a report about... Where did they find her, though? On November 16, her car, a 1987 blue Pontiac Bonneville, was found in rural Yuma County. The police department said in a Facebook post days later, on November 22nd, a body was also located. On November 27, about 5 days after that, an autopsy was performed and the body was positively identified as Meek. A cause of death was not released at the time. According to the coroner, her body was found on the property in question during an ongoing search of the property. The exact location was not disclosed. So they'll tell you that her body was found on a property in question during an ongoing search of a property we can't tell you where it is because it's a property under investigation. I like how they try to say a lot of things but not say much at all. Let's see, was there ever a missing like report done for her? Let's see. It looks like at the time of her disappearance, her story really never made it too far out of her local area. Yeah, I see very few, if any, news articles or videos. News stations didn't do reports on her. There's only like about 5 articles on her. Denver 7 did do one, but they never did a video on it. When it says latest headlines like this, it's normally from today or possibly back then. I don't think this will have anything for her.
Right now on Denver 7 News, after tentative deals were reached, the United Auto Workers call off their nationwide strike.
We're officially suspending our stand-up strike against each of the big three.
Details of the deals that ended the 6-week work stoppage. Plus, staying safe while taking the kids trick-or-treating.
It doesn't.
Hold on, maybe it does. That would have been October if they're talking about Halloween. I don't think they're talking about Halloween in July. But I don't see an update about her on it. Okay. Must have been news from that day that this article was published. It says here, they did issue an endangered missing person alert for her on the Tuesday for a Yuma woman who has not been heard from or seen since she told family members she was going to go to Denver Metro to meet up with someone. And that's sort of, but yeah, they really didn't release much on her. Let me try and find out if there's anything on the man who was arrested. And what is his name? A man accused, his name is 62-year-old Mr. Clifton Bogey. I'm going to call him Bogey. Bodges or whatever his name is. Not a lot about him either. Like 2 articles. I'm so glad that so many people are taking an interest in this woman's, case and justice for her. Obviously, she doesn't fit the mold of the typical, good-looking woman they can plaster all over TV. So they're like, don't worry about her. Don't worry that she's been killed just like other women. We'll just ignore it. She's not worth our newspaper time. Let's see. Suspect. All right, at least we might have a photo of him. Here's a photo. So apparently this is him. Mr. Bogey. He does look like a bogey. He does look like that could be his nickname. People are like, can't pronounce your last name, so we're just going to call you Bogey. And it looks like for 45 years of his life, he's been called Bogey and not his first name. Let me just check here. What is Roy doing? Uh-huh. Thank you, Mr. Roy. Let me check this. Is that the same article too? Damn it, Roy. Yeah, it is. It's the same article. That is so weird. It says here, Denver 7 investigates has uncovered that Clifton Mr. Bogey, the suspect arrested this week in the death of a 25-year-old from Yuma, has been linked to other cases involving women in Florida. Meek was first reported missing in October 2023. Okay, we know all this. Tell us about tell us about the other women. Okay. For nearly a year, Denver 7 Investigates has been looking into him and his connections to other incidents involving missing and injured women in Florida. Law enforcement sources confirmed he was named as a person of interest in a 2007 case of another missing woman, Heather Riggio of Florida. Riggio's family told Denver 7 Investigates that the then 20-year-old was last seen at her home when she packed a bag and was allegedly picked up by Mr. Bogey in an SUV. Years prior, he was also arrested for accusations of kidnapping and shooting of another Florida woman in 1997. So this guy has been floating around Florida and Colorado for what's the bet? He used to live in Florida and ran away to Colorado because he thought, what's the furthest place I can get from Florida to hide out because I've been in a lot of trouble in Florida? I'm going to run away to Colorado and hide out in the mountains. Very interesting. It's interesting that a lot of these women have a similar MO. This Heather woman is very similar. She packed a bag and was allegedly picked up by him. The woman from Yuma County that we just spoke about, she was supposed to go meet up with someone in Denver Metro. So he's involving himself in these women's lives somehow. Give me 1 second, people. All right, needed some water. Been talking far too much. Okay, let's look at this autopsy. An autopsy result. Okay. If I can get back to my my article. Okay, let's go down here. It says here, Denver 7 Investigates team obtained a April 2024 affidavit from the 13th Judicial District Attorney's Office, which states Meek was last seen in video footage on October 24, 2023 at a Yuma home. The footage showed 3 people at the residence and later only 2 people left before video footage showed what appeared to be a mattress with a body inside of it being taken out of the residence, according to the affidavit. It says Meek's vehicle was also seen in the video footage before being removed from the residence, and a search of the home discovered carpet stains which were reported to be blood. Investigators later searched rural Yuma County property where Meek's body and vehicle were later located. The affidavit revealed blood was discovered at the property and in the vehicle. Meek's body was found buried on the rural property and not in a family burial plot. Investigators say Meek's body displayed signs of foul play and that the autopsy reports were unique and not what was suspected. Not what was suspected. What does that mean? Hold on, let me find the link that Mr. Roy gave me. What do they mean by unique? Yeah. Denver 7 investigators tried to learn more details about Meek's death by requesting a copy of her autopsy from the county coroner's office. The 13th Judicial District Attorney's Office and the coroner both petitioned a judge not to release the records, but stated, I agree that once a suspect is arrested and charged, there would no longer be a need to withhold the report. He has been arrested. That autopsy has now been provided exclusively to Denver 7 investigators. It includes the findings of acute methamphetamine toxicity, multiple lacerations of the skull. It also classifies the manner of death as undetermined. Was she a known drug addict, though? Was she a known? I didn't see anything about her having a drug addiction. I didn't see that in any of the other articles we've read. Hold on. Yeah, I didn't see that in any of the other articles that she may have, I don't know, any challenges or you struggles with substances or anything like that. None of the other articles say anything. So for acute methamphetamine poisoning to show up or toxicity, very odd, bit weird. Yeah, how does he come into their lives? It is a long time. So he has violence against women, at least at a minimum, dating back to 1997. It's a long, long time. Your maternal grandmother only drove Bonnevilles? That's interesting. Does she just like them or? Snoop Dogg. Let me see. I'm trying to see what you guys are saying. 2000 and disappearance of Heather Riggio. Why does that sound familiar? Have we done that one? Heather. Heather Riggio. I don't know. Her photo doesn't really. Let's go to the Charlie Project. I don't know. Her photo doesn't really ring a bell. Here's her photo. She looks different in every photo. She has a star tattoo. Yeah, she looks sort of different in every photo. Who's this guy? Is that him just younger? Hold on. Is that him just without a beard and a little more hair on top? It is too. Star tattoo on Riggio or Riggio on her back. Clifton Mr. Bogey. This is Mr. Bogey right here. This is him, but younger. Much younger. And he looks very different today. Here's what he looks like today. So I would ask, do you think he's actively tried to change his appearance because he'd been linked to her death, the other woman? I would say yes. I would say he's tried to grow out his beard and his hair, make himself look different to that photo. He must know that that photo was everywhere and associated him with the missing woman. And I think he must have changed his appearance slightly to try and throw people off his so people will trust him. Says here, yeah, this is very odd. Acute methamphetamine toxicity, multiple lacerations of the skull. It also classifies the manner of death as undetermined. You would think about maybe the methamphetamine toxicity probably wouldn't keep you alive. Yes, yes. Yeah, I would definitely. I would say. I think he must have tried to change his appearance because he's already been associated with a different murder. It's a real shame that the woman who they found last year was unable to figure out his identity and stay away from him. Like, if you were a young woman and you knew this guy had been associated with at least 2 other missing women, would you be like, sure, I'll meet you at the Denver Metro. Let's go hang out. I don't think so. I don't think that's something that everyone wants to go and do. Let's see if we can find anything else about his other victims. Did they give us a name of the third woman? Accused of killing, yes. Here. That I want to see that video footage. That is creepy. Video footage shows that there was a total of 3 different people at the residence, but only 2 people left. Who's the second person? And why haven't they been arrested? But only 2 people left the residence. Video footage shows what appears to be a mattress being taken out of the residence. It has been determined that at least 2 other individuals were at the residence during this time. The woman's vehicle had been at the residence and was seen on camera being driven away from the residence. A search of that residence and tests performed on the carpet stain indicate the presence of blood. Well, in the other article, they say that mattress being taken out had a body inside of it. So I don't know if they mean there's a body on top of the mattress, or they actually cut a hole in the mattress and shoved her body in there. It doesn't give me a clarification on that. Let's see if there's a... says here, law enforcement sources confirmed that Mr. Bogey was named as a person of interest in the 2007 case of another missing woman, Heather Riggio. Her family told Denver 7 investigators that the then 20-year-old was last seen at her home. She packed her bag and was picked up by Mr. Bogey. Years prior, Bogus was accused for kidnapping and shooting. Kidnapping and shooting. Okay. If he was arrested on accusations of kidnapping and shooting another woman in 1997, we have to be able to find that. That would be public knowledge. Let's see if we can find that. 1997. Actually, I'm going to play you the video while I research it. They actually did do a video here. Sorry, my apologies to ABC News 7 for saying, you guys don't care. Apparently, ABC News 7 does care. They care about you all. All right, let's play the video, and then I can see how badly I screwed up her name.
The case of a young Colorado woman murdered about 8 months ago is now crossing state lines. 62-year-old Clifton Bogus was arrested in Florida on Monday, accused of killing 25-year-old Brittany Meek in rural Yuma County. She was first reported missing back in October. Denver 7 Investigates has been digging into this case for months, and they learned this is not the first time this man has been named in a case involving a missing woman. Investigative reporter Natalie Chuck joining us now with new information about the man that is in custody.
That's right, guys. U.S. Marshals just announced within the last few hours that Bogus was arrested just outside of Tampa. He is accused of first-degree murder, felony tampering with a deceased body, second-degree kidnapping, and more. Our investigative team uncovered this is not Bogus's only connection to Florida. Law enforcement sources confirmed Bogus was named as a person of interest in a Miami-Dade missing persons case back in 2007. The woman was named Heather Riggio. She was 20 years old at the time. Before that, Clifton was also arrested on accusations of kidnapping and shooting another Florida woman in 1997. Fast forward to 2023. We wanted to learn more about Brittany Meek's case and requested her autopsy report. We were denied those records, so we took it to court. The coroner and district attorney asked the judge not to release the records, but said, quote, "I agree that once a suspect is arrested and charged, there would no longer be a need to withhold the report." Just got that report right here in my hands within the last hour, so we are working to dig through all of the details. Bogus had his first appearance in court today in Florida. He is being held without bond and will be extradited back here to Colorado. We will continue working to get more information and bring you the latest developments in this case. For Denver 7 Investigates, I'm Natalie Chuck.
His name is so much worse than what I called him. I call him Mr. Bogey. His name is Bogus. He 100% is bogus, especially around women. His name fits what he does. He's very bogus. And her name is Brittany. Please, people out there, please spell your children's names with real spelling. Please don't make your children go through life and make people second guess how to pronounce their name. Don't be using Y's and X's and triple D's and upside down letters, Roman letters, numerical letters, whatever. Whatever. Don't just, we can have normal names. You want people to be able to pronounce your children properly. And don't be. There was a child last week on a news story in Australia. The parents named him something, and it was something really bad. It was like, it ended up being pronounced almost like, this is not the same thing, but I'll say something that was similar. It ended up being pronounced something like cock and balls, and I was like, no, you can't name your child that. And they apparently, after the mother and the father had time to sleep on it after the birth of the child and woke up after, a very long labor, a bunch of drugs in at least the woman's system, and the dad was no longer delirious from staying up trying to tend to his wife, they thought about it and they're like, yeah, let's petition birth, deaths, and marriages so we can change the name because our child can't go through life with that different spelling. So they changed his name to something else. Hey Beth B, how are you? So I was looking up to see if we could find the 1997 connection to him, but it doesn't seem like actually, here we go. State versus Mr. Bogey or Bogus in 1997. Here, I've got it. Court of Appeals, Florida 3rd District. What is this? The state seeks Sedatori or Rari or whatever it is. Review of an order permitting the defendant to withdraw his demand for discovery and deny the state's motion to compel reciprocatory discovery. So, upon the defendant's proper confession of an error, we get, well, I don't know, what is this? Petition granted, order quashed. What is this? Clifton Clayton Bogus, 1997 Court of Appeal, September 17th. But it doesn't tell me what it's for. It just says it's a Court of Appeal document. All right. No, not 2007. It's like every 10 years he hurts someone. He hurt a woman in 1997. He then was he is a suspect in another woman going missing in 2007. That's she's dead. All right, let me see if I can get this. Let me just see if anyone's got information on the 1997 one. All right, here's an old story about him. Ah, damn it. Hold on. We can use the Wayback Machine. They got an old article from Local 10. Let's use the Internet Wayback Machine. And see if we can find an archive version of it. Because apparently it's got information on Mr. Bogey. Okay. Green indicates, okay. So, let's see if it loads. It did not work. It said 404 error. Why did they why did they delete it? That's what I want to know. All right, let's go. Is that the earliest one we can do? Seems so. Yeah. For whatever reason, the old article based on the Heather Riggio one has been deleted from the internet, and I don't know why. Says here, a comment here from a local says, everyone who knows Clayton knows he killed Heather. How he isn't in prison for her murder is beyond my comprehension. After her disappearance, he replaced the bed of his truck and put in a new pool. I personally think that that is where the body is, under the pool. I had only met Kitty a handful of times, but I was a teenager. She was super sweet. She was who she was. She didn't deserve to be murdered by that sad excuse of a man. Hopefully, now they have him in custody for Brittany Meek's murder, they can finally get him for Kitty. Is Kitty another name for Heather, or is it that his first victim in 1997? Hold on, let me check. Someone's probably already said it in chat, but I can't see right now. That was her nickname, Heather Kitty Riggio, or Riggy, or whatever. Tequus Equisearch. Apparently Texas Equisearch also tried to work on her case at one point, because on their server I found a PDF file, not the ones who attack children, the ones that are computer documents. They're two different things. This one. I found this on the Texas Equisearch server. A missing person, Heather Kitty Riggio, 20 years old, Miami, Florida. It doesn't sound like, they haven't found her, unfortunately. This guy seems like he's definitely got a history, though. Hey, Kim. Laura Thomas says, one night you got to tell us about how the Wayback Machine works. So the Wayback Machine, it works in... The way it works basically is it takes snapshots of different websites around the internet so that if they're ever deleted, a lot of times, as long as their crawler or someone has manually added it to the website, you should be able to go back and see a version of the website, say like in 2014 or 2015, before it was altered. So a lot of times pages get deleted or pages get moved, but the Wayback Machine takes like that snapshot and allows you to go back and see what it was like on a certain date in the past. That's why I was trying to use it to see if we could find that dead link from local10.com, but they have 4 different snapshots, but they're all dead. And that normally means that the actual agency probably wrote in to the Wayback Machine and asked for them to be removed. It probably means that they actually manually requested them to be taken off. Why? I don't know. What information could be on there that they don't want public? And did they remove it because of the arrest coming in this particular case? Let me see. Clifton. I'm just trying to see if there's any old links that we can find. Death row information? No, not yet. Let's see, KKTV. I saw that his name was on here, but I'm trying to see what for. No. Okay, I don't have anything else on this, but I'm going to keep searching. If I can find any more information from 1997, I'll bring it to you on one of our late shows. But very interesting that this guy has sort of been traipsing around America for possibly 3 decades or longer, harming women. And for some reason, it wasn't until this woman went missing last year and there was video evidence of them manipulating her body that they're like, oh yeah, that guy is a predator. Let's go and do something about it. Very concerning. All right, let's move on. We've spent enough time fiddling around with it. All right, I'm going to actually do this one for since Gambler gave me a good link, I'm going to do this one for him. It says here, man charged with kidnapping in, is it Markham or Markham? Missing person case. Police asking the public for help locating Ying. I'm really bad with Asian names. Asian names. Any name that's not an Anglo name, I'm bad with it. Ying Zhang, last seen on July 25th. They say a 26-year-old man has been arrested and charged with the disappearance of a woman who went missing last week in the Greater Toronto area. Ying Zhang, 57, was last seen Thursday, July 25th at approximately 10:40 a.m. at a wellness center in the center of Woodbine Avenue and Steelcase Road in Markham. York Regional Police said in a news release Monday, her family reported her disappearance that evening after she failed to return home from work. Police believe she went missing under suspicious circumstances. Wait. They've arrested a guy, but did they find her? Hold on. They've arrested a 26-year-old man. Police, 3 hours ago, actually. 3 hours ago, York police find human remains during search for missing woman. Investigators made the discovery in the Kawartha Lakes while searching for missing woman Ying Zhang. Again, I'm probably saying that wrong. Let's play the video and see how wrong I said it. Come on, video.
A preliminary ground search led to officers walking in the area and locating found human remains next to the roadway.
York Regional Police say they found a body in a rural area in the village of Kirkfield in Kawartha Lakes, around 150 kilometers from Toronto. They were searching there for 57-year-old Yin Zhang, who went missing from this wellness center in Markham on July 25th. Investigators believe she was assaulted there and suffered a serious injury.
At this time, we're still waiting for the Center of Forensic Science and the Office of the Chief Coroner to be able to identify these remains for us. We are no longer in the area searching, but we are continuing with the investigation.
Police have charged 26-year-old Changling Yang with kidnapping, forcible confinement, and aggravated assault. Investigators say the accused's white Ford van was seen in the area at the time of Zhang's disappearance, and the investigation determined the vehicle had traveled to Kirkfield. The accused was also seen near the van with a large green compost bin like this one. Police said today the green bin was located alongside the human remains.
Pending the investigation as well as identification of the deceased, it is possible that charges will be upgraded.
Investigators say they still don't know if the accused and Zhang knew each other, but they do believe that she was targeted. They're also still trying to determine if others were involved, and they're asking anyone with information to contact the York Police Homicide Unit. Ryan Patrick Jones, CBC News, Markham.
Why do they always have white vans? Every single time they're like, we found the murderer. He was located with a white van. Every single time it's always like a Ford Transit or a Ford, one of these big white ones. I don't know what they're called, but every single time it's like they're drawn to large vans. There you go. That if that's not a van that should have the words free candy inside it on the side of it, I don't know what is. It should be that exact one. But they always like these big vans for some reason. I don't know, easy transportation of bodies, I guess. But this woman, how did they know each other? And you can't just assume because the suspect is Asian and she is Asian that they're like, oh my god, they must be family members or they know each other. It could just be a random Asian dude that took an infatuation with a woman at a wellness center and decided to abduct her. We don't know. But they did give his name. Let's see if we can find it. So apparently officers made the discovery in the village of Kirkfield, 140 kilometers northeast of Toronto. They said, at this time, we're still waiting for the Center of Forensic Services and the Office of the Chief Coroner to be able to identify the remains for us. We are no longer searching in the area, but we are continuing with the investigation. They said the discovery was made during a ground search on Monday around 5 p.m. in the area. They said the guy on the screen's name is Dickerson. Said the remains were found near a roadway. Okay. It's interesting. The guy that was arrested is quite young. She's 57. The guy who was arrested was like 20 something. Is that what they said? 20. Yeah. 26-year-old man was arrested. So there's like a large age gap between them, a 30-year age gap, 31 year. The man has been charged with kidnapping, forcible confinement, aggravated assault. Police said it's possible that those charges could be upgraded depending on the outcome of the investigation. Police are still trying to figure out if the accused and Zhang knew each other and if anyone else was involved in the incident. The man's white Ford van was seen in the area at the time of her disappearance, according to police. Additionally, he was seen near the van with a large green compost bin, which Dixon said was found on Monday at the same time the remains were discovered. That's not the first woman we've heard being put into a bin this year. We've had like 3 or 4 of them. Police are asking anyone who was in the area at the time that saw at the time Zhang was last seen, or who may have seen the accused vehicle, to contact investigators. Here is his PDF file van, and they're saying he was driving this van when he was when she was last seen last week. Those vans always creep me out. You know, in Australia we don't have these vans. They're very American, Canadian, sort of North Hemisphere. We just don't have these here. Everyone in Australia uses the other type, the taller ones. Hold on. Here, I'll show you the ones that everyone has here rather than those ones. Everyone in Australia tends to have this type of van. These larger sort of rounder ones like that. So we don't see too many of the those old Ford panel van type, you know, those typical free candy type vans. Those or these, you get a lot of these type of old school Toyota Tarago looking van things. It's not a Tarago, but that Toyota van. Yeah, so I don't know why. I don't know why there's such an American tradition, but we tend to have these type of big round vans, or the Mercedes Sprinter. These are really popular too, the Mercedes vans. I'm sure you guys probably have a mixture of both, but we just don't. Yeah, see, we tend to get this type of stuff, not those weird long ones with the shorter roof, and they're much longer. These are sort of higher but a little shorter. So there you go. Differences in countries. Yeah, it's a Sprinter. Yeah. Laura says, "Hey Ping, stupid question. We watch on TV under my brother's account, but I comment on my phone. Does that help or hurt? Yourself or me? I mean, it might hurt yourself if you can't decide if you're you or your brother, but for me, it might help. I don't know how it works when you're on the same IP address, but you're on a different account. I don't know if YouTube counts it as one view because it's coming from the same IP address, or they base it on account. So if you have the 2 different accounts, even under the same IP address, it would count as 2 different views. I have no idea. Possibly. Angela says 2, but trying to figure out the algorithm? Don't try. Don't try. You'll just become a part of it. They'll suck you in. Lost Puppy fan? Hey, Athena. How are you? You did? You sent me what? A funny animal story. Let me have a look. Okay, I found it. Ah, computer's not being my friend today. By the way, actually, my monitor, this one that I use for the show, it's been on the fritz for like 2 years, and I've tried to keep it going for as long as I can. I've soldered stuff and I've fixed things, and unfortunately, if I lose power or I turn the computer off and back on again, the monitor cools down, I get lines all through my screen and I can't read anything. And it lasts for about 2 hours when I turn the monitor on. It just has all these lines on it, and eventually they sort of go away as the monitor heats up. But recently, it stopped doing that, and it stopped doing that. It's gone all black now when I turn it off. So I can't even see the boot sequence or anything like that. So I ordered a new monitor last night. We should get it tomorrow. So we'll have a new monitor. Unfortunately, it's not a vertical monitor. It's what I'm actually looking at doing next, so that we can have the chat on this side and I can have the panels of stuff I'm reading here. So I can read the stories I'm reading to you and read the chat at the same time. But that's a project for another day. But yeah, we'll have a new monitor for the show tomorrow, which will be good. And it's much bigger. This is a 27-inch. I'm getting a 32, so it should be easier to read. No, it is not. Well, hey, I pronounced it the same way the news guy did. He didn't say Jung. He said it the way I did. So if you have problems, write to what channel was that? CBC. CBC? Yeah. CBC.ca, and you tell them all about it. You can write a letter. You can say, I'm a viewer from Australia. I am offended by the way you pronounce Asian last names, and I would like to speak to your editor. I know. Hey LMS, how are you? LMS says a few years ago, my son and I was at a locals only. What is it? At a locals only locals only known swimming hole. There was a purple van when we left that said Nightmare King. What? Nightmare King. Maybe it's like a rock band. Maybe it was like a rock band. They had their own sort of. It sort of makes sense if they're surfy type people, and maybe they got like they like to play music or something. Hold on. Let's look it up. What is Nightmare King? Are they a band? Let's look up. I don't see anything called Nightmare Band. Wait, Nightmare King. Actually, no, what is this? Local Live, Nightmare King. Battle Snake. I don't know what the hell that is. Look what it showed me. 5 guys in underwear playing music. You can see up in this corner. There's 5 dudes in tidy whities playing, I don't know what kind of music. Maybe bluegrass. I don't know. But yeah, look, they perform in their underwear. And there's Nightmare King, Local Live, Battle Snake. I have no idea. Is that the band name? It is. So they're called Battle Snake, but they have a song called Nightmare. There you go. They perform in their undies. There you go. 4 dudes who like to hang out on stage and perform for people. That does sound pretty scary, LMS. All right, let's keep going. No more men in tidy whities. We can't do that on this channel. What time is it? Oh shoot, we have to go anyway. We got 2 more minutes. Does anyone have a story they want me to do before we run away? Oh, there's an Amber Alert. Okay. Thank you to whoever sent that. We got an Amber Alert very, very quickly before we go. Amber Alert, abducted 2-month-old girl from Sandy Springs Hotel, father armed and dangerous. Breaking news, apparently. Let me play this for you.
Breaking news out of Sandy Springs right now, where police are looking for a missing 2-month-old baby, and police say that the man she may be with is armed and dangerous. Take a good look here at Raya Clark. She was last seen at the home to suites on Peachtree Dunwoody Road about 3:30 this morning. She was last seen wearing a pink shirt and a diaper. Police believe that she may be with 22-year-old Randy Bernhard Clark. He's 5 foot 11 inches tall, weighs about 250 pounds, and was last seen wearing a black hooded sweatshirt, black pants, and blue slippers. If you happen to see him, you're asked to call 911.
Why did it pause again? Anyway, we have to get out of here. I'll talk to you about the missing person Amber Alert when we get back for the late show. I'll have more information then. There's more information on the Bernard Clark, the father. He was involved in a thing with his brother last year. He like fired 2 shots at him. We'll do that in the late show after we get back. LMS says wouldn't be surprised in my area. All right, bye. Have fun with Trish. See you later. Thanks everyone. Bye. We got to get out of here. We're very late. See ya.